Since the dawn of time, mankind has known two things: how to make fire and how to debug a production issue at 3 a.m. Developers are kinda tired. Actually, no, I'm kidding. They're exhausted. This is a general vibe I'm getting from the software engineering community, my own experience, and some data from the Stack Overflow survey. For those of you unaware, the Stack Overflow developer survey used to be a big deal in tech content spaces. That was before the AI slop lords took over. I personally feel like now more than ever, it's important to rely on actual user-generated content than analyzing meaningless graphs Sam Commandman decides to throw together. Over the past 2 years, the survey had a stat about job satisfaction, and it hovered at around 30% of all developers being unsatisfied at their job, which I find kinda strange. Developers have high autonomy, they're paid well, and they often work remotely, and the kind of developer that would fill out this survey probably has all three. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Developers kinda hate AI. Although 84% of developers admit to using AI, and 69% admit AI has increased their productivity, the majority of developers still don't actually trust the accuracy of AI tools, with 20% of developers highly distrusting them. In a weird turn of events, developers now turn to Stack Overflow when AI inevitably fails them. AI is kinda like that junior developer that says they know TypeScript, only to find out they've been secretly converting everything to any. Not gonna lie bro, I'm kinda tired of the clankers myself. I've also noticed in the comments section of my favorite creators, even viewers are tired of AI content. Outside of the survey, there's a rise in extreme work hours. The Pragmatic Engineer wrote out this blog post on a new trend at tech startups. The expectation is that developers need to start adopting the 996 model, which is a work trend loosely originating from China that stands for 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. The problem is programming is a highly creative and mentally taxing skill. Programming output isn't necessarily linear. It's not like cranking a lever at a factory where if you do 12 hours instead of 8, you'll naturally produce more. No offense to my Industrial Revolution ancestors who pulled levers. I don't think I need to explain any further why this is a bad idea. This accompanied by the fact that finding a job itself is very hard. The job market isn't the best right now, with some computer science grads even applying to Chipotle. It can be exhausting as a developer to find a new job, which isn't helped by the fact that CEOs are actively trying to replace you. Speaking to recruiters is as painful as a Git rebase, and some salaries floating around are a joke. There's also a huge mismatch between what developers want to use and what they have to use. Rust and Zig rank highly in terms of admiration and desire of usage, but they're hardly used in production. This doesn't mean there's a lack of things to use in production. Every job listing is a laundry list of unrelated technologies that are a minimum to get your foot in through the door. There's no standard stack anymore, and at least in web dev, specialized roles are kind of bleeding out. Front-end developers are expected to know a little bit of back-end and vice versa, and thanks to the DevOps as a culture grift from a few years ago, all developers are expected to know a little bit of CI/CD and cloud. And despite cloud platforms being the most profitable product for most big tech companies, they hardly seem to invest in any of the user experience. The user experience of AWS is so bad that there's a tiny economy formed to not use AWS, and every single cloud provider tries to one-up each other on who can make the worst user interface. At the end of the day, developers aren't exhausted because they hate coding. Most of us got into the field because we love building stuff. Almost 70% of respondents to the survey say they code outside of work. Developers aren't tired of learning new things, they're tired of learning the same thing just repackaged. Fundamentally, take breaks, recharge, touch some grass. I know it's easier said than done, but this is just another wave. I remember a few years ago how exhausting it was to keep up with the latest JavaScript framework. This is just another one of those times, albeit on steroids. The piece of actionable advice I do have is to get cracked. The best developers don't really have a problem in a good economy or a bad one. They have their lot of jobs to pick from. This kind of scenario is only natural in a late-stage capitalist economy. For example, generally speaking, there's a rise in wealth disparity. 30% of wealth is hoarded by 1% of people in the US. In software engineering, there's going to be a skill and ultimately job disparity, where the market will only pay top dollar for the best talent, and the best talent gets the best experience, while poor to average talent tends to get choked out. Do I agree with the system? No, not at all. I'm just telling you the vibes I'm seeing. Another vibe I'm undeniably sensing is using Mobbin.com, the sponsor of today's video. Mobbin is the world's largest design reference library, with thousands of user flows and screens referenced off apps you use every day. The old way to find design inspiration is by taking a million screenshots and getting frustrated, or clogging your storage by downloading a million different apps. Thanks to Mobbin, you don't have to do that anymore. To get started, you can filter down with their categories. For example, I want to check out how buttons look on different mobile apps. I can dig even deeper into the UI using Mobbin's awesome flow tree. The flow tree lets you navigate the user journey layer by layer down to specific actions. Once I'm done doing all of my analysis, I can export my project to Figma and get started. You can find me on Mobbin at BigBoxSui, and while you're there, use my link mobbin.com/BigBoxSui to give Mobbin a try for free and save 20% off Mobbin Pro. Thank you to Mobbin for sponsoring this video, and thank you for your time. I am Big Box.